Hello and happy Independence Day. You are welcome to This Day Live, the Sunday talk show, where we discuss both local and international matters in a very fair and balanced manner. I'm Reuben, Abati. My name is Reuben Abati, your host for This Day Live Sunday Talk Show. And with me today, I have Professor Bola Akinterinwa, former Director General of the Nigerian Institute of International Affairs. I also have Yemi Adamolekun of the Enough is Enough Group, and Olaleye, Deputy Editor at This Day on Sunday, and a political journalist. Now, happy Independence Day, ladies and gentlemen. And again, to everyone watching us, today is a very special day. It's the 57th anniversary of Nigeria's independence. And Nigerians are excited. But before we discuss Nigeria's independence and how we have traveled and what the journey has been like, Wale, I usually ask you to give us a rundown of what has been the outlook for the week in terms of local and international news. So what has been happening in the last week?
Well, apart from the fact that the week climaxed with our independence anniversary, it was actually an interesting one. INEC had fully come out with dates for presidential and National Assembly polls, and I think that might be consistent a bit, even though it's subject to a debate with Fayoshi's declaration in the week too for his presidential ambition. The president also planned to meet with Southeast governors in view of the crisis in that part of the country. Senate also planned to summon some of the ministers over what they described as low budget implementation. I also find this very interesting. The state assemblies, the 36 of them actually said yes to local government autonomy. I think we might be getting somewhere with respect to effective council system. Facebook, Google, others confirmed in the week that Nigeria actually requested for user information. I think that has been on with respect to monitoring of posts and all that on the social media. And maybe when we come back to that, we'll look at the nitty-gritty of the details. Also, all appears set for the Anambra governorship election. Senator Tayo Alashadura alleged offer of bribe to kill the PIGB. That's also interesting because the bill has been in the National Assembly for an upward of 13 years.
As the petroleum industry.
Yeah, the governance bill now. They've passed the other one, so the pending one. And that's a very major one. And ICPC accused the Osun of diverting bail funds. I think that's a huge indictment. We'll probably look at that later. And on the international scene, Angela Merkel, the German strong woman, won her fourth election. U.S. has extended travel ban to include North Korea, Venezuela, and Chad this time. The U.S. Health Secretary resigned in the week. Crisis in Catalonia over independence referendum. That's an interesting topic that Prof. Akinterinwa would like to put us through. China has further closed down on North Korea this time asking all North Korean companies in the country to shut down completely. And that's also consistent with the UN sanctions, economic sanctions against the country. Thailand's Supreme Court sentenced one of its ex-prime ministers to 5 years in jail for over dereliction of duty. That's interesting. I like the sound of that. On a lighter note, Saudi Arabia has permitted its women to start driving.
Well, I mean, quite a whole basket of issues out there. But for us in Nigeria at this moment, today is Independence anniversary, and this morning the President of Nigeria, President Muhammadu Buhari, addressed the people. Yes. And he used the opportunity to showcase the achievements of his administration. Yes, he made the point that today is a day for reflection, it's a day for thanksgiving, it's also a day for remembrance. And he anchored his speech on 3 major areas of achievement of his government. Rebalancing the economy, restoring national security, and also fighting corruption. Yeah. And he listed, some of the achievements, and also used the opportunity to remind those who are calling for restructuring that government is not going to allow that kind of restructuring that will result in the dismemberment of Nigeria, which is a point that he made when he returned from the United Kingdom. Now, again, he used the opportunity to also restate his administration's commitment to face the challenges and problems of Nigeria. And in addition to that, the Office of the Vice President released a list of 57 achievements by the administration so far. But the question you will ask is, what constitutes an achievement? And I think perhaps to help us define that, the president today decided to celebrate the 57th independence anniversary with the troops, where he tried to boost the morale of the troops. But I don't know. What do you think, 57 years after? How has Nigeria fared? Are you as excited as the government persons appear to be excited, or like some people, you're asking for a reset of Nigeria, or you have your doubts? What kind of reflection? Prof?
Yeah, thank you, Reuben. You see, what do we mean by independence? It is important to have a generally acceptable conception of it. When Nigeria actually acceded to national and international sovereignty on October 1, 1960, the general meaning that appeared to be the favorite of the Nigerian people is independence from British rule, independence from colonial rule. That is the general meaning. And even when we are talking about 57th anniversary of the independence, that is what they meant. But when we look at the records, research, you see, Nigeria and Nigerians are still at loggerhead. I think that the crisis that we do have today, they are basically manifestations of the quest for independence. We are not yet independent. The truth is that if you take a critical look at the genesis of the Civil War, many people thought that the war started in 1967 and actually ended in early 1970. True, we can look at it from that perspective. But when you look at historical records, the idea of an independentist Biafra or indigenous people of Biafra you will see that it dates back to 1962. They were thinking of remaining independent. All right? People have been talking about independence of their ethnic groups ever before the outbreak of the Civil War. Now, it was because of the quest for independence by one of the component states or regions that led to the war. Now, when the war took place, the doctrine, the main point was to keep Nigeria one is a task that must be done.
You are quoting General
Gowon.
Yakubu Gowon.
Now, when you look at it, you will see that the independence was not yet there. So we were now trying to keep national unity, the independence from the British, as distinct from the independence of the constitutive parts of Nigeria. Since that time to date, all right, this independence has remained an ultimate objective of many communities.
There are some people who will argue that, one of the major achievements in the last 57 years is that, apart from flag independence, which you are trying to, interrogate,
yes,
that Nigeria has been able to stay together as one country in spite of all the challenges, in spite of the complexities of ethnic nationalism. And that is a major achievement and something for Nigerians to celebrate. And that even where there are challenges, those challenges can be addressed moving forward. The key question that I think you have raised is that what has independence brought the average Nigerian? Because independence comes with expectations. Have we moved from freedom, from British colonialism, to a certain kind of second colonialism, an internal colonialism with its own features?
What is achievement?
Anyway, let Yemi take that so that we have...
At the end of the day, as you said, flag freedom, there is something about pride in country and pride in your own sense of identity and culture, yes. But then moving forward at the end of the day, we're Nigeria. What does that mean, as you said, for an average Nigerian? Because your average Nigerian wants to have a life that has meaning. I need to be education, access to healthcare, development. Now, in those terms, what then does that mean? Because we celebrate our independence from British colonial rule, but what does that then mean? Are we celebrating Nigeria as an entity or just our independence? So I think if you ask the average Nigerian, we're probably just the colonial parts that we're celebrating. How much of Nigeria are we celebrating? You're right, we've managed to keep ourselves one. But the question keeps coming back every now and again, like, what does that really mean? Are we really one? Are all the parts really equal or treated equally, depending on who's in power? And I don't think we've answered that.
Wale, see, let's look at it from another angle. I'm not trying to push a point or play the devil's advocate. Okay. Now, we may have issues in terms of nationhood, in terms of governance. But if you look at it, I think the individual Nigerian has done so well. This is a country that has produced a Nobel Prize winner in literature, Wale. This is a country that has produced persons winning gold prize in medicine, the late Osuntokun. This is a country that has won football, championships at different levels globally. This is a country of Nwankwo Kanu, J.J. Okocha. This is a country of Chinua Achebe, Wale Soyinka, Chimamanda Adichie. I mean, isn't there something to really celebrate? I just don't want us to be so gloomy.
Right. But I think the question that pushes that in what we've said so far is that relative to what the potentials that we have. So yes, you do have the Wale Soyinkas and the Chinua Achebes, but how many more would you have had if we had an education system that functioned? Now, you talked about people in sports. Yes, we have the ones that played representing Nigeria, but how many more are representing other countries who are of Nigerian descent, as in countries as far away as Qatar and Bahrain, but they are Nigerians. So I think when people talk about that, it's yes, we acknowledge those that we should celebrate. But when you look at it in a larger scope, I mean, if you look at the doctors doing amazing things in America, they're of Nigerian descent, but they're doing it on American soil because Nigeria does not provide the infrastructure for them to excel in their craft. And that, for me, is the problem.
Wale.
Yes, when you talk about we've managed to stay together. Sometimes I'd like to ask, is it by choice?
By force.
That's very key to this debate. Are we together by choice, really? I'm not sure.
Well, every Nigerian president has always said Nigeria will not disintegrate under his watch.
Yes, I think it's not something you impose on us. It's something you desire, but you must work to that thing you desire. You don't just slam it on us that it's not negotiable. It's settled. No. Much as I'd like to change my narrative that okay, let's admit our unity is non-negotiable. This structure is
Problematic.
We are going to negotiate this structure. It's not settled. So you can't run away from it. And I was actually hoping that the president was going to seize the opportunity of this occasion to look at some of these things, to be fatherly, even contrite in a way. And then you can't go on and on slamming people, calling us irresponsible. We're all Nigerians. You presiding over irresponsible people?
What does that make you?
I don't know.
I'm just saying.
No, I would have thought that, what the president of Nigeria tried to do today is to build confidence, to strengthen the hands of his administration, and to also show that somebody is in charge.
It was bullying.
But is that
Well, it's not
It was bullying.
But is that even a
it didn't
message
sound
for
as
today?
aggressive as it was when he returned from London. And looking at that speech, I thought it was a good opportunity to sell his administration. That is a strategy that I've seen.
Are you saying?
And I used to say that, look, they've not been doing enough to sell the achievements or the programs of the administration.
But that doesn't
So you see that there was a different tone in
but-
terms of saying, this is what we've done, this is what we've done,
No, but
and
that's
then
not what people
57
are asking
achievements put on the table.
No, but that's not, for me, this is not the day to celebrate your achievements. That's for May 29. Now, given the context of what's going on in Nigeria, on October 1, it is the day to celebrate Nigeria as a country, not with 1 trillion here, one. No. The people who are agitating or the people who think that the current Nigeria doesn't work for them, in all the achievements that he's listed, how does that address what their concerns are? I don't think it does.
Yes.
And I don't think he took that, as Wale was saying, that is the time to be fatherly, pull people in, say that can be contrite in some places, be jovial. Just manage what people's emotions are. Don't belabor the point that you've done all. Okay, you've done all of this, so what? What does that mean for me?
But you see, you may not take or hold President Buhari responsible directly. We should hold his ghostwriters,
He read
the
the speech,
speechwriters.
but he read it.
Even if he did, you see, the issue is that, well, probably the speech was given to him at the last minute all along. He wouldn't say. You see,
Well, it was recorded, so ordinarily.
Exactly. So if you didn't like
put a
it,
detail
I didn't like
or
it, then
redo
I
it.
said it. But also, sir, this is the president of a country. The buck stops at your table. Before the speechwriter goes off and goes to write whatever, I'm guessing there should be a discussion around what is it I'm trying to say? What do I want to say? And then he brings you a draft, you look at it. Does it convey the emotion? Does it convey the tone? And it was recorded. So that also gives you the time to edit if it didn't come out right or you didn't think it was
Well,
right. So I'm not excusing him.
I can't reconcile the fact that...
No. The truth of the matter is that on a special occasion like this, no matter how smart a speechwriter is, you cannot force the president to say what he does not want to say.
Exactly.
So
Thank you.
You see that the
he has to
president
take
himself,
ownership.
yes, he was trying to sell his administration, as I said. So the content will reflect what he wants to say. Don't let us assume that you go and write
Given to him and then
a speech and the president.
Yes.
No, that's not how it works. Anyway, let's stop reacting. We've been reacting, but it's not. The 57th anniversary is not for government alone. It's also for the people.
Yeah.
And if you check social media, in spite of all these complaints about what government is doing and what has not happened, I have noticed some kind of a sense of celebration among that. I check Twitter, check Facebook,
Instagram,
all kinds of, celebratory, and Nigerians are not just talking about government. They are celebrating the beauty of Nigeria, the accomplishments of the people, and various, compositions of the national anthem. Isn't that something to celebrate?
I think Nigeria over time, as a people, we have learned to put government behind us at a time like this, the worries and all that. We just want to be happy. And that is evident in what you've seen on social media so far. Otherwise, I mean, like I said earlier, this is something, forced on us, this so-called unity. We're not here by choice. So, I mean, at a point, you just need to find your own happiness in the midst of all this.
We'll take a break. We'll take a break, and then we'll continue with this discussion because I'm sure it's the most important thing to do for Nigerians. You are watching the Sunday Talk Show here on the Arise channel with me, Reuben Abati, in Nigeria's commercial capital, Lagos. We're heading for a short break now. Do stay with us.